Hello, everyone! I am the Shadow Trooper, also known as Mercury, and today I will be reviewing Cyberpunk, the American Dream by General Yankee Doodle. Now, you may be wondering, what is this story exactly? Well, it's a Cyberpunk Fallout 2 Enclave crossover story where the Enclave make their way into the cyberpunk universe. Now, I have read the entire thing, and I'm I did a quick I made summaries of the chapters, some of which are actually kind of interesting when it comes to their ideas. Now, the good things I'm going to go over first, obviously. It's an interesting story premise with the fact that the Enclave are off the coast of Night City during the events of 2077. This is obvious because the fact that, oh yeah, V has Johnny in her head, and the fact that Arasaka is still around. We don't know how far in the story. We do know it's post Aldecaldo stuff, so that's someone, well, somewhere. We do know that they are implying that there's the Judy romance, but they haven't done the Tiger Claw clearing out boss thing. And well, I'm I'm just gonna say this. The chapters are short. It was something I was able to knock out in a day where I was reading it on and off. It also goes through the story very quickly on the most part, which is a bit of a negative. It doesn't pace well. Additionally, there are a few things that are skipped over or just kind of dropped entirely, such as the fact that there are characters that don't interact basically at all after a certain point, primarily V and Judy. It feels all over the place when it does this, and that's a little bit of a downside when it comes to this story. It does, however, propose something interesting. It makes the Enclave not the villains, for once, which is a different take on them. Additionally, there are a lot of ideas that are thrown into this story that is actually interesting, such as the solution they come up with for the V Johnny situation, and how the Enclave would be perceived in a corporate controlled America. Now, oh, what's that, Zoe?
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. You do bring up an interesting idea. In the story, everything kind of is just thrown together, and it's a lot more bits and pieces of crossover at times. Basically, the standard, I don't really have a solid idea of what to do, so let's take ideas from other franchises and implement them here. But now, let's kind of go over the events of the story. With, I'm just giving a very brief summary of each chapter with just my quick notes. The story starts with the Enclave oil rig just appearing in the ocean, no contact from the land, and they are able to see Night City, or it's implied they are able to, and have been able to just figure out we're in a different universe, apparently. We then meet up with V, everyone's favorite female Murc, and they're given a job by Regina to just scout out this strange activity to the north of Night City. Well, V goes out, they see the fact that there are these strange people in big black armor with no cyberware, and are then captured. V is then essentially interrogated by an Enclave officer and asked, hey, we need some operatives in this city, we need some information. You mind helping us? We'll help you. And V agrees on the promise that they find a solution to her brain issue. So, V joins the Enclave. And now this is where I think is a good point where I'm going to theorize on how you could do a story like this. Now, so far, this is the first 3 chapters. It is a good start to a setup. I think you could have fun where you show V being introduced, the Enclave interacting with them, the Enclave interacting with Night City, spies, or just operatives going out getting a feeling for the various gangs and groups. What they You can see how they interact. They learn about the groups, try and figure out who's useful, who's operating with who, all that. The Enclave are strangers in this new world. They have an opportunity to learn and potentially even have a idea of some of them defecting or seeing the new United States and effectively seeing, hey, this seems kind of familiar to our our oldest archives of what we were. Maybe we should step back and reflect on this might not be a good idea for us. But now let's get back to the story. The Enclave are using distress signals to lure corpo transports into a trap and essentially massacring them. This is where we get our first peek at Frank Horrigan. We then get a little bit of a skip back to to V and her talking with the Aldecaldos, who do make an alliance with the Enclave in exchange for, hey, we'll give you weapons and 2 suits of power armor if you hit corpos in the Badlands. Now, how do the Aldecaldos, people who are famous for being nomadic, moving around, not really wanting to be pinned down to anyone specifically, react to this? They're ecstatic. They're happy. They are willing to do anything because it's V vouching for the Enclave and Saul having a thing for big guns. Now, after this, we get a short little briefing with President Dick Richardson, who is briefed about the Camp Navarro situation and the situation with the Aldecaldos. It isn't a deep in-depth detail recap, but it's good enough for a short chapter, which it was. What they also bring up is the fact that the Enclave have a GEC, and they do propose to use it to restore the desert outside of Night City, which is a good thing in the most part. Even giving the Aldecaldos first picks of the area outside, just for starting things like homesteads and stuff. After this, we have a short bit of time where V is just having an MRE with real meat, which is a rarity in cyberpunk, before they go out and meet 6th Street, which are primarily made up of veterans, for a alliance with the Enclave. You can already see the Enclave is quickly moving, quickly adapting, and readying themselves for something, which is apparent because the next chapter has 6th Street taking over Voodoo Boy territory after apparently V killed off the majority of their leadership. Now, you may be wondering, what else is the Enclave doing? Well, they established a pirate radio station of Enclave Radio, which is found by Judy, who overhears this and thinks, this isn't a good thing. I'm gonna call V and see if they know about this. Oh, they do. Well, hopefully they will help with the cloud situation still. Then we have V arriving at the oil rig. They meet with Dick Richardson and Frank Horrigan before it's revealed what the Enclave's idea of fixing their brain situation is. Merging her and Johnny together. The next chapter after this is kind of a filler chapter. We see President Myers of the NUSA, who is essentially a puppet of Militech, being angry that there is a group of people claiming to be the true successors of the United States of America. But we don't get much else. We just get her being angry. She doesn't really push anything. She doesn't try and send forces. She doesn't try and get spies in. Nothing. And then we get to meet the child properly. They very much are kind of a mix of V and Johnny, having both of their memories and a bit of their personality traits. They know everything they had, and they choose to be named Asuna. If you know where this is probably going to be going, then you know. But then we have the fact that Asuna, which I'm going to be referring to her as the entire rest of the story, goes to the afterlife and announces, hey, if you want to become legends, join with the Enclave. We'll let you basically keep whatever you can loot if you attack various security infrastructure across Night City in a few hours. Now, some of them are kind of skeptical about this, saying, hey, what about Smasher? Oh, don't worry. We have our own Adam Smasher who will be dealing with him. And then this leads up to a chapter which I just wish was written to be longer, more detailed, something. It just needed to be more because it is Adam Smasher versus Frank Horrigan. And General Yankee Doodle, I I understand why I don't understand why you write so short. I get it. I used to be like that too. But if you ever go back and rewrite this, please, please make that fight longer. Make it more detailed. Add banter. Add anything. Just don't have it be so short. After this, we have essentially the collapse of the corpse in Night City, with Yorinobu even captured by the Enclave. They even strike up a deal that Yorinobu will pull Arasaka out of North and South America if that when the inevitable civil war breaks out between him, Hanako, and his niece, the only the Enclave will be supporting him. Now, if anything, it's a interesting plot idea. Like, oh sure, like they agree to this. It isn't out of character. It's just kind of an odd situation to pick. But okay, it's your story. Then, following this chapter, we get a short little bit of Mayor Perez of the Perez mayorship. You know, the guy that you help in that one series of investigations. The one where you discover he's being manipulated by someone. And well, the next, and he speaks with the Enclave and recognizes them as the official, actual government of the United States. And then we get a little bit of a view of what the Enclave want to do. They want to get rid of the gangs. They want to downsize the police, get rid of the corruption in Night City. They want to use the GEC to restore, expand the city, break it up, and essentially decrowd the city, allowing people to homestead. It's what the Enclave hoped to actually do in what was their universe. They wanted to restart America proper. They wanted to bring it back to a world in which children can play outside all day and not have to worry. After this, we get a short little bit of a comedic chapter where we are introduced, we have a vendor and a private from the Enclave talking about who the King of Rock is. Johnny Silverhand or Elvis Presley. An actually interesting joke that can be made because essentially these two people are the identity of rock of their time. And it's kind of clear that a little bit of Johnny's personality and backstory is based on Elvis. They were both military veterans. They both fought in wars, just for different types of people. Then we get Richardson's first State of the Union address and his announcement of the purges of the gangs and all that. But I'm going to only tell you half of the story. Which ends with a chapter where we have Misty at the Coyote Kojo speaking with Mama Wells, and even Padre, who is moved away from gang life since the fall of the Valentinos, and who is mildly appreciating the Enclave's appeal to religious values and the such. But that is my review of Cyberpunk American Dream by Yankee Doodle. By General Yankee Doodle. Which, thank you for commenting this on the last review. If you would like to read the full fic, we will have it linked down in the comments. But for now, I have been Murc. You can find me at Mercury on Space Battles, or as the Shadow Trooper on Wattpad. I thank you for joining me on this channel, and this month has only begun. We have more reviews on the way, so hopefully you'll stick around, and thanks for watching.